In this video, we are going to create expenses. So I am in my award details page for the award I want to add expenses to. So let's go to the expense creation area. So I'm going to go to Post Award, Financial Expenses. And I have this screen. If I go ahead and click Run, I can see expenses I have already entered. And under this options area, I can add or remove columns. So I would probably suggest adding budget category. And then to go ahead and create an expense under this actions area, I'm going to click plus. It's going to be a pop-up. So under category, if your award has more than one category, they will appear here. So you can go ahead and select it. And if this category has more than one line item, you can go ahead and select that. Your category may only have one line item, and that's fine. Your direct cost is grant funds plus any match amounts. I'm going to go ahead and enter that. Exclude from match, that means that's 100% going towards grant funds. You don't need to select it. We'll just also enter it on the financials page. The expense date is the date of the invoice or receipt. And expense status. For your expense to roll up into the reporting period, this has to be marked as reviewed. Very important. Expense status needs to be reviewed. The payee is optional, so you do not need to do that. Under description, I would enter the invoice name or anything like that. Because when you create it, it will show up on your expense page and it'll be a lot easier to find. Clicking into the financials tab is where you can add your cash match or in-kind match if you have it. So you can go ahead and put in a dollar amount and it will automatically put your match amount and your grant funded. So it's keeping that $500 of direct costs, but it's changing these two. Or you can select it as a percentage and it will do the same thing once you click into it. And then if you do not have any match, you can just leave it as 0. But I'll put some in there. Under the attachments area is where you're going to put your source documentation. Check your program guidelines for the definition on what source documentation is, but it's most likely going to be an invoice or a receipt. And you can also upload more than one if this had to do with more than one. And I'm going to go ahead and click Create. You'll notice it is marked as an expense status as reviewed, and there's an edit pencil, which means it is not closed yet. For example, these 3 previous expenses are closed, which is why there is not a edit pencil icon next to it, which means these are already a part of a reporting period. If you need to edit the expense we just created, you could go ahead and click the edit pencil and save it. And then also, if you have more than one expense that you can select, you'll notice I cannot select these closed expenses. You can also use these actions to mass delete the expenses or mark them as reviewed to, which will then pull them into the reporting period.